everybody. Welcome to Amateur Cast, the show where we pretend to know what we're talking about. I am Sebastian Limon, and I am joined with Kolby Lipis.
That's me.
And that's it. That's the show, guys.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
that was a good one.
No.
See you next week.
See you next week where we talk about...
Where we introduce ourselves, but with our middle names. Ooh.
Whoa. Middle names and last names first. No, guys, Palom's not here today. It's going to be us for, the next couple of episodes? Any other episodes? It's just going to be us. Whenever anyone else would like to join, whether it be Paloma or Alex, you remember her? Yeah, she's not dead. She's okay. She can come back anytime. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think from here on out, we'll just hope to have a rotating door of different guests and friends on the show and stuff.
Yeah. And so, if you're listening, you could be on this show. Call us now at 555-555-5555. That's not a real number. Do not call.
Why don't tell them that? That ruins the bit.
Sorry. You're right. We're kidding. Call the number. Yeah. Just letting you guys know. And it's been a while. Apologies for that. Mainly for that reason. Just trying to figure out when we could fit ourselves in. I started work not too long ago, and I've been very, very busy.
And on top of that, we talked about doing a Tenet episode at the end of last episode, and Tenet had a lot of issues with COVID and stuff, and it was a very difficult movie to see where we live in Southern California. A lot of theaters are closed. You could only see it at very certain drive-ins. Mm-hmm. I saw it at the drive-in. Did you see it at the drive-in, Seth?
No, I saw it at the theater.
You saw it at the theater. Okay.
I saw it at the theater. I went back to the theater.
Yeah, so that's why it took us a while to see it, because it was just not possible for a while. But we're back now and hoping to be on a more normal schedule.
Yeah, for sure. We're just trying to balance out, obviously, school, work, and fun stuff like this for us. But before we get to Tenet, I wanted to briefly speak about some trailers that came out. I don't know if you want to talk about. I want to talk about the Batman trailer.
That looks great. I'm really pumped about that.
Really awesome. It's directed by Matt Reeves, who directed the last two Planet of the Apes movies and the first Cloverfield movie, which were awesome. Cloverfield was fun, but the War for the Planet of the Apes, which is the last one, I think is like really great. A really great movie. And it stars Robert Pattinson as Batman, a young Bruce Wayne in Batman.
That's a fantastic casting, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I think he's an overall great
cast.
Yeah. You've got
Paul Dano as the Riddler.
That's right, Paul Dano. You've got Colin Farrell as the Penguin in like crazy makeup.
Yeah, he looks completely unrecognizable. It's
You've
awesome.
got, I can't remember his name, but the guy playing Gordon is great.
Oh, Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, great casting. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
As like an early Catwoman or something?
Yeah.
Like an origin
And then
story
Andy
Catwoman.
Serkis is Alfred.
I love Andy
which
Serkis.
is great. Yeah,
That's
I'm
pretty
very
cool.
excited for that. This looks a lot darker for sure than the other Batman movies, which is saying a lot. Because we've had pretty dark Batman movies before.
It looks like it's leaning very heavily into the detective angle, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's been underrepresented in the movies.
It feels very David Fincher. I don't know about you, but like...
Oh yeah, kind of.
In terms of like the way it's shot and even the darkness of it. And like you said, the very detective side of it.
Could you imagine a David Fincher Batman?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be wild.
That would be sick. Because I know David Fincher's movies are like pretty gross.
Yeah.
So it would be pretty something. But no, yeah, I think what sold everybody for the trailer, and definitely for me, was that amazing shot of Batman just beating the crap out of that one guy. And then saying, "I'm vengeance," or something.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That completely sold me.
That kind of gives a good insight into what the tone of the movie's going to be. I hope it's not trying too hard to just be like gritty and grunge and dark, because that, like, the last 6 iterations of Batman or whatever, but more like the last 2 or 3, have just been like, this one's the grounded one, right?
Yeah. But that's
I just
like
hope
Zack
it's like
Snyder.
a good detective story.
Yeah, well, again, like that's from Zack Snyder, who just does not know how to balance tone and
Yeah, I agree.
really tell a coherent story. Whereas Matt Reeves, clearly knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm really hoping for some greatness here.
It's also funny because Robert Pattinson auditioned for this while filming Tenet.
Yeah,
With Christopher Nolan, who made The Dark Knight. So
The Dark Knight, yeah. I mean, I'm loving everything about this trailer. It looks both dark but kind of classic zany Batman. Even like freaking Penguin looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
Almost
I'm
like
excited
in the original.
for that Penguin.
Yeah,
and I think Paul Dano's really gonna kill it. I mean, if it's a tenth of good as his performance in There Will Be Blood, it'll be phenomenal.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then the suit looks great.
Mm-hmm.
The use of Nirvana was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited for this. I think I'm really hoping, not hoping, but like a lot of it is like. I'm not a Batman fan in the sense that I love the comics. I just love the character and the way that it's been portrayed in the movies so far, to an extent. But this seems to be hopefully maybe even like my favorite so far. Like everything about it is just like, I love Christian Bale's Batman, but I don't know, like for a while I just didn't care for his character all that much. I
think he's a better Bruce Wayne than he is a Batman.
Yeah, I agree. But
Ben Affleck's probably the other way around.
Yeah, I like him as Batman a lot. He's really cool. But the Bruce Wayne, I just did not care.
And that's mainly just because they didn't give him good writing.
Yeah.
Especially in Justice League.
We're not going to talk about it.
Woof.
But, no, yeah, the Batman comes out 2021. Very, very excited for this.
Yeah, along with every other movie that was supposed to come out in 2020.
Honestly.
James Bond
Black Widow, now.
West Side Story, French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movies coming out in 2021.
Last Night in Soho.
Mm-hmm.
Which we would have already seen.
I was so bummed about that.
If COVID didn't happen. It was supposed to come out in September, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I was looking forward to that. Are you kidding me? An Edgar Wright horror movie? That sounds awesome.
With Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie, the girl from Jojo Rabbit. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Oh, and also the twins from Harry Potter, I think, were in it.
Really?
Yeah. The Weasley brothers.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. There's not even a trailer for that, huh?
No, there's not. There's not a trailer for a lot of stuff that's coming out. Like Mank is coming out very soon, and there's still not a trailer for that.
Oh, Mank looks awesome. They
Mank.
did release photos though, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that for sure. And the other trailer that came out, because not much of the DC trailers we really care for, or at least personally don't really care for, is Dune by Denis Villeneuve, who directed such classics as Arrival, Sicario, Prisoners, and of course, my favorite, Blade Runner 2049. It stars Timothée Chalamet, Oscar Isaac,
Josh Brolin, Zendaya,
Dave Bautista. What's that actor? Rebecca Ferguson?
Oh, right, yeah. Rebecca Ferguson. And probably like 26 other people we're forgetting. The cast is just stacked.
It's insane. Yeah. It is insane. Yeah. Are you kidding me? This looks like another spectacle.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, I wish the trailer was a little more colorful in the vein of Blade Runner. Because, like, that's also a movie that is kind of dystopian desert, but manages to be more vibrant.
Yeah.
But I trust Denis.
Oh yeah. Have you seen much from Denis?
I haven't seen much, and I'm really looking forward to watching like all of his movies before this comes out in preparation, and hopefully we can do an episode on him and on Dune.
What have you seen?
I don't know if I've seen any.
Oh no. No wonder. Okay, you need to watch his movies.
I know.
Once you do, you'll be very excited for Dune.
I know, I do. Okay.
I can assure you. Yeah, no, Denis we trust, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with you with the color, but Blade Runner is known for that, like for the world, it's very both dystopian yet kind of beautiful at the same time.
Right.
And they
because it's like neon kind of.
Yeah, whereas Dune is in a desert planet.
Yeah, and I'll also say that I haven't read Dune, so that might be very.
I haven't either.
Like on point, intentional for the story. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Hans Zimmer's score is gonna slap so hard.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait.
Just the atmosphere, it seems like a Luke Skywalker story, like a classic hero's journey story, which I'm really hoping for. And then Timothée Chalamet as that's awesome.
I know.
That's so cool.
I know. That's pretty. So it's pretty cool to see him in like a huge blockbuster instead of an A24 movie.
Has he's been in like one A24 movie, right?
No, he's been in a lot of A24 movies.
Has he really?
He's been in Lady Bird, Call Me By Your Name was A24, right?
No.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh, okay. He was in
That's right, Lady Bird.
An A24 movie called Hot Summer Nights that I don't think anyone saw.
Nights.
Beautiful Boy.
I don't think that was A24.
Oh,
I
really?
think that was Amazon.
I'm just assuming everything indie is A24.
Everything indie is A24. I mean, you're not wrong.
Guys, I'm pretty sure Star Wars was A24, okay? I'm pretty sure.
The Rise of Skywalker was A24. Oh, no. Yeah, just quick thoughts on newer trailers that came out. Very excited for both of them.
Oh, another exciting trailer that came out recently is One Night in Miami. Regina King's directorial debut. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Oh, I think it's probably going to be a big awards contender this year. It's directed by Regina King, the actress, and
is that the one from Beale Street?
Yes, yeah, she won the Oscar for Beale Street. She so it's based on an August Wilson play, or is it? No, it's not August Wilson. No, it's based on a play.
Okay,
and it's about a night that Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, and Malcolm X all hung out together. And it's just those four. I know, it's crazy. And it's just those four characters like hanging out one night. And that looks really cool and exciting. And I think Sam Cooke it's One Night in Miami.
Okay. The trailer came out then.
Yeah, you should watch it. It looks pretty great.
I'll have to check this out after.
Leslie Odom Jr. is playing Sam Cooke, and I think he's doing an original song for it. So
that's awesome.
That'll be sick.
Okay, cool. And that comes out on Netflix?
I think it's. I'll double check. I think it's Netflix.
I think like every movie right now, they're just either putting on Netflix or just any other streaming service except for Nolan, which is great segue for Tenet.
Hey!
Oh my god. So yeah, Kolby, would you like to introduce what we watched?
Today we are finally going to be talking about Tenet after 12 years of waiting since the last episode. There's been enough time for another Before movie. Before 4. Just kidding.
Before 4?
Anyways, Before 4. The divorce. Anyways,
oh no.
Yeah, we were finally talking about Tenet, as well as 2 other Christopher Nolan movies that me and Seb picked to bring to the table today that we wanted to talk about. Inception and Dunkirk, and I mentioned those ahead of time because I think I'm really excited to talk about those in relation with Tenet. I think, personally, coming out of the drive-in theater for Tenet, I found myself in conversation with the friends that I saw it with, like, comparing it most to Inception and Dunkirk. I feel like those are 2 movies that really kind of show Christopher Nolan's kind of change in progress as a director leading up to Tenet. Those are probably the 2 most similar, so this would be a cool discussion, I think. But yeah, Seb, right off the bat, what'd you think of Tenet?
So for me, I think I gotta explain. I think we should both explain like our relationship with Christopher Nolan.
Oh, sure.
For me, I think for a while, it's not that I disliked him. I remember being young, like 11, 12, knowing who he was, like Inception, The Dark Knight, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And recognizing that his movies were good, but never finding an emotional connection with them.
Yeah.
And it was like that for a while. Like, I didn't even want to see Dunkirk when it came out. I'm like, I don't care about Christopher Nolan. But then, true story, when I went to go see First Man, when it came out, First Man by Damien Chazelle, we talked about this. Great movie. But I saw it at
I forgot about this.
Where did I saw it at the City Walk at Universal, that IMAX theater. And I came out, and there he was, Christopher Nolan.
I completely forgot you've met Christopher Nolan before recording this.
There he was, with his kids, clearly talking about the movie. And I was like, oh my god, that's Christopher Nolan. Like, I wasn't like in love with him, but it was still like cool and kind of. And I began to process it, like, oh, this guy who has made huge movies. Mm-hmm. He's made The Dark Knight. He's made all these big original blockbusters. Still goes out with his family to go to the movies on a Friday. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to see that he doesn't have like his own theater, his own private screening. He goes out and pays for the ticket.
He might still, but
he might. But it's clear that he just loves the craft of movies.
Yeah.
He just loves that art form so much that he deliberately goes out to support fellow artists. And something about that was so humbling to me and so inspiring. And not only that, I went up to him and asked for a picture. And here's the proof right here. Ding, ding. There's the photo. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you're not going to see it. So we'll post it on the Instagram.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, that's me with Christopher Nolan with my horrifying perm hair. Yeah, I guess after that I kind of found this new appreciation for him. Like, I wanted to go back and revisit his movies. And upon that, there are some that I have a better appreciation for and some that I just still don't really care for. But going into Tenet, I had that in mind, and also being back at the movies again. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I've recognized that not many people have, but going in knowing that it was a Christopher Nolan movie, I knew one thing, it was going to be long, visually appealing, and the characters were not going to be as great. And I kind of knew that going in already. And at first, it definitely didn't work for me. The non-characterization. Until at some point it kind of clicked and I realized what the movie was going for. It was a classic James Bond spy movie.
Right.
That's what it was. It's more plot-driven and action-driven than character-driven. And, I mean, I love that stuff. I mean, you know, Mission Impossible, the latest one especially, was awesome. James Bond, and even to an extent, Indiana Jones. To an extent, obviously, Indiana Jones has better characterization.
Yeah, definitely.
For him, and there's
especially
just more
in
fun.
Raiders.
Especially in Raiders, for sure. I think even Last Crusade with his dad and everything.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
But
or in Temple when he beats a kid.
Exactly. Oh, God.
Or in Temple when he gets possessed by a satanic death cult, you know.
And slaps a kid. Yeah, that's great. No, but yeah, I think early on I was able to realize, oh yeah, this is a classic spy movie with little characterization, but the characters are still kind of fun in a way. And it's very plot driven and action driven. And I found myself really enjoying the movie. I even kind of loved it. It was like a lot of fun. It was a blast, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again with subtitles. Because I'll admit,
subtitles are very recommended for this movie.
Yeah, because I'll admit, there was sometimes I just did not know.
And it's in English.
Some characters were saying.
And you still can't tell what's happening.
Yeah.
Sound mixing, man.
Yeah. Nolan, you hack.
Learn how to mix your sound, movies.
Let me, a little college student, tell you, Christopher Nolan, what to do.
Yes. Dummy.
Yeah. Those are just like very small thoughts. What did you think, Kolby?
I feel like I had the same opinion on it as you, but a but less of a result. Like, everything you said I agree with, but I liked it much less than you did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I really couldn't get past the complete lack of characterization. It's so hard for me to engage in a movie when the main character just has nothing going on, when there's nothing for me to root for, to connect with emotionally. And on top of that, when the movie is making a point, making an effort to be so convoluted and like extremely complex, it feels like I appreciated it more than I enjoyed it. I think it's a good movie. I give it a passing grade, right? But like, it's an extremely complex movie, and it asks you to figure out a lot of stuff, and that's cool. But it doesn't feel like it's worth the effort when I'm not going to get some great emotional payoff at the end. Because in the end, like, I do not care what happens to these characters, except for one being Elizabeth Debicki's character.
Oh yeah, she was great.
I thought she was great in the movie, and her character has by far the most characterization and like the best actual arc. I came out of the movie kind of wishing that she was the main character, or at least that there was more of her, because honestly, her story is the driving force of the narrative. Like, the protagonist, and I'm talking about the main character is literally named the protagonist. Christopher Nolan made an effort to be like, no, you don't get to know anything about him. Here's his name, the protagonist. He basically is like helping her throughout the movie. I kind of thought it would have been more interesting from her perspective. I'm not trying to like rewrite the whole movie, but that's just like something that I thought of was what if it was kind of focused more on her and less on this character that does nothing and like has nothing going for him, no arc, no characterization.
Yeah, without spoiling, for a while you really think there's nothing really going on with the character until the very end.
Yeah, the very end, there's great revelations about him that are really, really clever, and I like them a lot. It just was too little too late, you know?
Yeah, which is why I think it benefits on the second viewing.
Definitely.
If you care to see it a second time.
Sure.
Which I personally do. I really want to see it again. But, yeah, again, without spoiling, at the end, you kind of... There's some things that are revealed that are definitely deeper into both John David Washington's character and even Robert Pattinson's character.
Yeah.
But,
and both of them are so, like, charming and charismatic in this movie. Like, they do a great job.
I understand what you're saying, but because they're so fun and so charming, I was with them the entire time.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's a good comparison, James Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a James Bond movie. Like, what's his character? What's James Bond's character?
He's a smooth, charismatic spy man.
Yeah,
he likes martinis.
That's exactly.
Women. Yeah.
And women. Same thing with this guy. It's clear that he's sarcastic. He knows what he's doing. He's focused. But John David Washington, who I wasn't a huge fan of BlacKkKlansman, but even then I'm like, this guy's going somewhere. I like him.
He's an incredible actor. He's gonna do pretty great things in the next couple of years.
He's very charming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
he's
really
Denzel's son. Like, what? I mean, how could you not?
Exactly. Yeah, Denzel is amazing, and
yeah.
Again, I completely I see your point. Like, I'm not gonna like if someone were to come to me and said, "I hated Tenet. I couldn't understand." I get it. I totally get it. I understand. Except, I don't know, for me, it just worked. Like, I had fun. I don't know about you. Kenneth Branagh was great. I loved him.
That's so funny. Okay, I was about to bring up Kenneth Branagh.
Okay. What did you think of Kenneth Branagh?
I'm so glad you loved him. I thought he was silly.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, okay, so his character, he did a great job. That's what Kenneth Branagh did a great job. But I hated the writing of his character because it was so mustache twirling.
Yeah, I loved it.
He was this big, silly, over the top villain. Okay, so we had the exact same thoughts on the movie, but I liked them and you didn't. Or no, but you liked them and I didn't. I liked them and you didn't.
Yeah, as much at least.
Sure. No, overall I would say I like them, but not enough to make me love the movie.
That's fine.
But yeah,
That's
Kenneth Branagh is silly and over the top, and it's fun. Like, it's It's funny, but I felt like it was out of place in such a serious movie where everything else is very like dire, serious, end of the world stakes.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Like, I thought this was like a much lighter Nolan movie than his previous movies. Like, his characters were actually kind of fun and like, I don't know. This was the first Nolan movie I came out saying, "Oh, that was fun."
Yeah.
The other ones, they're either, "Oh, that was great. That was well made. That was confusing. That was dour." This was fun. Like, the characters were more.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a comedic movie, but it definitely had more sarcasm, more lightweight to it. So that's why, for me, I don't know, the villain and his silliness and his mustache twirliness just was so much fun. I loved it.
You're right. I mean, it
know,
is.
that was
I think
great.
fun is a fair word for this compared to other Christopher Nolan movies because it's the most straightforward action movie that he's
for
made.
sure.
Even though it is bogged down by a lot of plot, you could easily watch it and have no idea what's going on, but like still really have a great time with the action.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you just want to see
It's
some
very
like rad action scenes.
which this movie has. It's really great. Like, the opening scene is great.
Yeah, and the action choreography is really, really smart. Like, there's some great, like, it's very well directed, well choreographed action.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. It's like, I understand why someone would say, his character, this villain was dumb. It makes no sense, or this movie is too long, or whatever. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna try and say you're wrong for thinking that way. It's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what he does. Like, it's clear that he's much more into visual storytelling at this point, and less with character. And I think, I don't know. I think when he tries to push the emotion, it just doesn't work for me sometimes. Like in Interstellar, like the whole thing with spoilers for Interstellar. The whole thing that love is, what was it? It was that love is what binds the universe or something. You remember that? Did you see Interstellar?
No.
Oh, I'm spoiling.
It's okay. You didn't spoil any story.
But I don't know.
I was gonna
like,
watch it before
me,
this, and then I was like, I'm not gonna like it more than Inception, so it's not. I don't need to bother.
I need to rewatch Interstellar. I only saw this once, but that's from what I remember. And I think, and here, Christopher Nolan was like, I'm gonna cut all through the bullshit, basically, of like any of this, and just work with what I'm best at, which is visuals, action, just overall excitement. What did you think of the score? Did you like the score? I thought it was
not much. I thought it was decent. I mean, it was
I agree.
good enough for this movie. It definitely felt like Ludwig Göransson, I think is his name. And I like him a lot as a director. I think he did a spectacular job with Black Panther.
Conductor, you mean? Not director.
Or, composer.
Composer, sorry. Conductor.
My bad. I think he did a fantastic job with Black Panther, and I believe he did Creed, which is great too. It just felt like with here he was trying to replicate Hans Zimmer instead of like doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was mostly just bwomp, bwomp,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I agree. It worked well for the movie, but it's not like something I go back to and listen to.
Definitely not. I mean, there's very little merit to listening to it on its own.
Yeah. Which is a lot of, not all of Nolan's scores, but a good majority for sure.
Yeah.
Like Dunkirk especially. I think that works especially well for the movie and setting the tone of scenes, but I don't go back and listen to Dunkirk's score
Sure.
on repeat. Unlike, I don't know, something like The Dark Knight, which you can listen to the theme, which is really awesome.
Yeah, The Dark Knight does have a good score.
Or maybe even Inception, maybe.
I think Inception, a lot of times, yeah. Not all of the tracks, but yeah.
For sure.
For a lot of them.
Is there anything else to say of Tenet? Yeah, we're not spoiling Tenet, by the way.
Yeah, no spoilers for Tenet. We should have mentioned that earlier. But I kind of want to talk about it in comparison to his earlier work and like how we got here right?
Yeah.
Because you were saying he's cutting out the BS and just getting straight into visuals, which is what he's best at. And I see that. Like, I kind of think you're right. That was his intention.
Same thing with Dunkirk.
Very much with Dunkirk.
Yeah.
What's interesting about it to me, and why I like to compare it to Inception and Dunkirk, for me, early Christopher Nolan was great because he was like the only director of his time who could, as well as he did, coincide spectacular visuals, stunts, action, like big scale blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
With a very engaging, emotionally resonant story.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the reason I love Inception is because there's not a lot of other movies that are as big as Inception while also being so incredibly character driven. Yeah. Like Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Inception, we'll talk more about this later, is such a great, well-written protagonist, and all of his inner demons and different kind of inner turmoils are the driving force of the movie. Like, most of the action in Inception is just a visual representation of his very inner character arc. And before Inception, like, he started with Memento, which I think, it's not a spectacular movie, but I really love it. It's probably my second favorite Christopher Nolan movie, because it's just like a pure character study, and it's a really good character study. And then he did, I think he did Insomnia after Memento? Or am I skipping one? Yeah, he did Insomnia. And then he did, like, Batman Begins and The Prestige.
Oh, no, Batman Begins first and then the Prestige.
I think so, yeah. And those and The Dark Knight and, you know, everything leading up to Inception are very visually great. I mean, big spectacle visual storytelling. The superhero movies, The Prestige is like this big magic trick the whole time. It's all this illusions and stuff. But they're very character driven. And the characters have really strong arcs. And so I think he kind of peaked with Inception in that regard of, like, having this great arc. Then he did Dark Knight Rises. And then he did Interstellar afterwards, right? Yeah. And then after this, he did Dunkirk.
After Interstellar, that's when he's like, you know what, I'm going to cut off all the BS. And
exactly.
Just go with visuals.
Because Dunkirk was like this turning point for him. It was like this big left turn.
Oh, yeah.
Where because he's, I think up to Dunkirk, been a huge, like, character writer. He really likes to focus on strong characters. And then with Dunkirk...
tried.
You didn't think he did in his previous ones?
I mean, like, there's something about Nolan's dialogue that just comes off really boring to me.
That's fair.
Like even with great characters, or even like someone like Bruce Wayne, besides the Joker, which is riveting in every way, because I think that was the only character of Christopher Nolan that didn't speak like this all the time.
Sure. And Heath Ledger really, like, breathed life into that script.
Yeah, he was like very not cartoonish, but he was just
animated.
He was, and there you go, that was the word. He was animated and just completely
like it's just a big character actor, like a great yeah.
It depends on the actor too. Like Gary Oldman in the Dark Knight movies are definitely a standout for me.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Like some other people are just kind of deadpan talking to me.
That's
I
true.
don't know.
That's true.
But you were saying? Sorry.
No, I mean, it seems like our different reactions to Tenet are kind of coincide with our different reactions to his earlier stuff and how we compare them. Because I actually agree with you with that on the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't think, like, the characterization in there works as well. No. But in Inception and Prestige and Memento, I think he is such a great character writer. Like, he really, really has these really strong arcs with the characters are very emotionally engaging. And so then Dunkirk comes. We're going through the timeline now. And he takes this sharp left turn where he makes, like, the conscious decision, I'm going to make a movie without characters. There will be people on screen, but they will not be characters. You do not know their names. They do not have backstories. They do not have motivations. They do not have arcs. They are pawns in a great war, and that is the point. Yeah. Right?
And it's just visual suspense.
And I think he did a great job with that. Dunkirk is
Yeah.
one of the very few exceptions to a movie. Well, okay, what I'm saying is, personally, my taste in movies is very much character-driven movies. That's just personal preference. There are plenty of plot-driven movies that are great, but my personal preference is always to lean towards movies with great characters. Dunkirk is one of the few exceptions for me. I liked Dunkirk despite it not having characters. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
The only other exceptions for me that I can really think of are, like, 2001. Like, the characters
there's
in that
no
movie
character.
aren't important. Yeah.
It's about the experience, the visual.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think of what else. I mean, there's not many.
I'm sure there are many. I can't. Yeah, 2001 is a great example. That's another one that you need to experience to know why it's such a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
that one I was able to see in the theater. That's crazy.
Oh, I'm so jealous of
holy
that.
Crap.
Oh my
In
god.
IMAX, dude.
That's
It was like,
insane.
whoa. Like, I couldn't believe it.
You saw 2001 in IMAX?
Oh, yeah. They had, like, a special screening, like, 2 years ago.
Insane.
Yeah.
Wow. I watched it alone at like 1 a.m. with all the lights off in the house, which was pretty good because it was very immersive, but man, I wish I could have seen it on such a big screen. That's awesome.
No, sorry. Back to Nolan. You were saying? Sorry.
Just that he kind of took this big left turn with Dunkirk, and then what I think happened with Tenet, which is what bothers me about it most.
Mm-hmm.
Inception, you've got big, huge, crazy spectacle, but it works because the characterization is great. Dunkirk, you've got the inverse of that. There is no characterization, but it works because the point of it is to just be visual storytelling.
In the middle of the war.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically just there with everyone else, yeah.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Tenet seems like, to me, it took one half of each of those formulas, but it was the halves that don't go together. Like, it took Inception's visuals with Dunkirk's characters. I think Dunkirk characters work for me because it's like a war movie, and the point of it is to be about war, not about these soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About, like, this point in history.
It's about the terror of war, the scariness of it, and wanting to survive. And just that alone, you're able to kind of be engaged with who's there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pure immersion.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like, you're on the battlefield, and you don't know the guys around you. Why would you? These are just other soldiers.
Exactly. Yeah.
But with Tenet, that combination didn't work as well for me as it did in the other two.
I would agree with you, but again, the movie's going for something completely different than Inception and Dunkirk. It's a spy movie. It's supposed to be, again, very plot and action driven. Mm-hmm. And again, that doesn't mean you can't make a spy movie that's not character driven either. You can. Sure. You totally can. I'm sure. I don't know if there is. Is there?
A spy movie that's very character driven?
Yeah.
I feel like,
or like a fun movie
one of the Mission Impossible movies.
Maybe like one
like
of
Mission
them,
Impossible 3. It's all about like Tom Cruise and his relationship with his wife. Like, that's pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know. The rest of them,
they definitely try with Tom Cruise and his character.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Mission Impossible fan, but I've never really gotten into James Bond. So maybe it's just different preferences. Like, maybe I'm just not a spy movie guy, you know?
Maybe.
So Tenet's in it vibe with me.
That's totally fine. Whereas, like, I love that stuff. I love spy movies where it's fun, it's about the plot, and the villain's very mustache twirling. The main protagonist is a suave, cool guy.
Yeah.
But what makes... And I agree, like, that's definitely... Like if you're not into that, then you're not really going to be that much into this movie.
Yeah.
And I think what sets apart other stuff that replicates James Bond, like Indiana Jones, for example, which is basically Spielberg's response to not directing a James Bond movie or not being allowed to direct a James Bond movie. He was able to make Indiana Jones an imperfect character and someone vulnerable. Like, during the action scenes, he's never perfect. There's always
That's what I love about Indiana Jones. They made him like such a guy. Like, he's just a guy, and he's trying to get this thing. He's trying to get this arc because he believes in archaeology and like it's what he's passionate about. But he's just a dude.
Yeah. And even at some point, he's like, I don't know, I'm just figuring this out as we go.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what's great
It's
about
great.
Indiana Jones, is he's always figuring it out as he goes, and you can tell.
Great stuff. So I guess that would be the example, because it's not a spy movie, but it's definitely drawing inspiration from James Bond,
Yeah.
which allows more character. But I would agree with you if only Tenet was going for something more, and it's clear that it was just going for a classic spy movie that just happened to be directed by Christopher Nolan. So
right.
It's going to be...
And so it's going to have weird, crazy time stuff.
It's going to have weird, crazy time stuff. The characters are going to be speaking things you have no idea what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to look great. And if you're into that, you're going to dig this. And if you're not into that as much, try it. Maybe. Like, go back to the theater. Hope you enjoy. If not, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to put you down for it. It's your own preference.
Speaking of the weird, crazy time stuff, how well did that work for you? Like, did you feel like you were on board and you, like, understood what was going on?
I got the gist of it,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, I was able to... Again, I don't understand everything exactly, but I was able to kind of get enough to be along for the ride.
Yeah,
And
I would say same here.
especially, yeah.
It was enough to keep me
definitely.
watching.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like...
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening. I need to leave. It was just, okay, I need some more explanation, but I get it. Like, I understand
Sure.
what's going on, what's at stake here, what's...
Yeah. And I definitely left the theater with questions. Like, I kind of joked to my friend, like, as much of this movie is just exposition, I was still confused. Like, a movie with this much exposition shouldn't leave me with questions.
I know.
Right? But again, the sound mixing is so weird in this movie, and especially being at the drive-in, like, it was hard to hear a lot of the lines. So when I got home, I watched like a 4-minute IGN video explaining the movie, and then I totally understood everything. And I was that's great. I wish the movie explains it as well as this 4-minute IGN video.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree with that, but I also really appreciate people that make movies for you to go back to
Sure.
again. I mean, it also depends, not depends. It shows what kind of person you are in response of the movies. If you're someone that's like, no, I'm not going to let this kind of fly over my head. I want to figure this out. I want to crack the code to what this movie is about.
Right.
Or you could be someone that's just like, that made no sense. This is stupid. Be gone. And not to put you down, you know what I mean? Like, not you, or not to put anyone down for thinking that. If that's just the way you view movies, that's fine. If you want to watch a movie that's just fun and escapist. But I really appreciate a movie here and there, not all the time, obviously, here and there, that's challenging. And that's different and original. I mean, what do you call it? Not many filmmakers can actually make something this insane and confusing
that's for
and convoluted.
True. There's not other filmmakers than Nolan who
budget.
can make Nolan movies.
Exactly.
That's
so it's like
all the practical stunts are incredible in this movie.
Yeah, everything looks real.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane because it is real.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, but I said it before. I'll say it again. I understand why someone would not care for this. I totally get it, but for me, it totally worked. Do we have anything more to say about Tenet?
Well, I'll bring up really briefly so we can move on. But one thing that one more thing I didn't love about it.
Okay.
I'm only speaking negative. Overall, I think it's a solid movie. I just didn't enjoy it that much. I think it's passable.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
But one thing that kind of bothered me, what I'd love to hear your take on, is the stakes of the movie.
Uh-huh.
I think I was comparing it to Inception a lot, just like talking to myself after I watched it and trying to figure out what it was about it that I didn't vibe with. And I realized something about Inception that's super interesting. It feels very high stakes because you've got this huge action, and because they're in the dream sequence, like, worlds can end, buildings can collapse, right?
Yeah.
So visually, it looks and it feels very high stakes. But when you break it down to the plot of the movie, what's happening in the canon world of the movie, not in the dreams, there's very little stakes. Like, there's high stakes for these characters. And the reason it feels high stakes is because this is life and death for Cobb. Because if he fails this mission, he doesn't get to see his kids again, and that is the end of the world for him. And it does such a good job placing you in Cobb's mindset of, like, this needs to happen, this is high stakes. But then when you look at the plot, it's incredibly low stakes. It's like one businessman wants to sabotage another businessman.
Yeah.
And they hire these guys to do it through dream manipulation. That's it. There's no end of the world.
So if they fail, of the characterization.
Yeah, if they fail, everyone in the world other than them is going to be fine.
We're the opposite in Tenet.
Yeah.
Where there's not much for the characters, but in terms of the world, there's a bunch of stakes.
The stakes of Tenet are the world ends and existence ceases as we know it. But the characters, other than just being people who live in the world and don't want to die, have no reason to be engaged in this mission. Mm-hmm. It means nothing to them. Mm-hmm. So it's and again that's a great example of why it's a spy movie, because he's doing his job.
He's doing his job. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why it worked for me. Like, it's fine. Gotcha. And again, I totally get why you'd be like, I don't care as much. I totally get it. It worked for me. I thought it was fun. Like, the last act of the movie was, like, thrilling for me. And very ticking bomb element of it. And again, Kenneth Branagh. I don't know, I thought he was a joy. I loved it.
he was very good in the movie.
To die? With his Russian accent. I'm going to be doing the rest of the review with the Russian accent.
Oh, thank God.
So, Kolby, what would you give Tenet?
I'd give it a 6.
I will. Okay, how would you like to die? Tell me.
If you're going to keep doing this accent for the rest of the episode, then sorry. very much I would.
Very much right now. I'm so sorry. So you would give it a 6?
Yeah, I think a 6 is like the borderline. Like, this is a good grade. It's passing, but I didn't enjoy it that much.
That's totally fine. I give it an 8 out of 10. I kind of loved it. It was fun. I get it. It's convoluted, very confusing at points, and the sound sucks. Nolan, you hack.
Yeah, the sound mixing is not good in this movie.
Again, I thoroughly enjoy spy movies. It was very well made. John David Washington was fun to watch. Robert Pattinson was cool. And Kenneth Branagh was so silly, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. 8 out of 10. Go see it if you're a Nolan fan. If you're not a Nolan fan, it's another Christopher Nolan movie. This isn't going to change your opinion. You know what I mean? So, go see it if you love movies. Or if you're just wanting an action movie, go see it. If you want a character, look the other way. Speaking of character, let's talk about Inception.
That could have been the intro to literally any movie.
You know what? Not true.
Speaking of movies that have people in them.
I mean, you're right. The Dark Crystal does not have
I loved it, though. It was nice. I loved it.
Let's talk about Inception now. Kolby.
Inception, okay. So my pick for today, the Christopher Nolan movie I wanted to talk about, was obviously Inception. Nice. If you haven't seen it, it's Inception. It came out 10 years ago. It's a modern classic. What are you doing?
Weirdo.
It's great. So we're going to be spoiling it, I think. But also,
we are.
We might not have to. We might be spoiling it if it comes up. But it's basically about this guy Cobb, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he has completely lost custody of his kids. He is not even allowed in the US, I think. So he's hanging out in Europe, trying to do these kind of spy missions. So so that he can get back to his family. However, he's not just a normal spy, he's a dream spy. So he can go into people's dreams, and the way the movie works is that dreams are visually represented as landscapes that the characters can walk around. And all the people in these landscapes are their subconscious, right?
Yeah.
So at one point in the movie, they're walking around, like, a city, and he's, like, he's talking to another character, Ellen Page, and he's like, we're in your dream. Oh, no, they're in his dream. But I brought you with me into my dream, and you are the architect. You can control the landscape. And she, like, puts out her hand, and then the building, like, curves around itself and stuff.
Yeah.
So it takes place in this kind of cool sci-fi fantasy thing where characters can enter each other's dreams and then enter the dreams of characters within those dreams, and there's all these layers, and they kind of have control over their environments in these cool ways. But also their environments are, like, constantly raining down on them because, like, the human brain knows there's an intruder, I need to get this out. So they get hired by Ken Watanabe's character to take down this businessman who has just inherited the business from his father. And Ken Watanabe doesn't want his business to go bad, so they hire him to incept an idea into the mind of this guy, to go into his dream and give him an idea that he thinks is his in order to do something else with his business. And it basically turns into an action movie. In order to do that, they need to, like, fight off the subconscious people in his brain. It's a whole thing. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it makes so much sense when you watch it, I swear.
It does. Yeah.
And it's a decently long movie that feels like it goes by so fast because it's so engaging.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it went by, like, it's 2.5 hours long. Mm-hmm. And there's not a moment that what do you call it, waste time in any way. It's either exposition or character or action. The movie's always moving along. For a 2.5 hour long movie, didn't think I was surprised upon rewatching it. But do you want to say your thoughts on it before I say mine, since I spoke about Tenet first?
I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I just love how this movie is, like, a perfect action movie as far as the visuals, the stunts, the choreography. It's incredibly creative and, like, fantastical with its production design and its effects and everything. But at the heart of it, it's just this one character with this one very clear goal that you can connect with emotionally. Like, he needs to see his kids again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I love it. I really love it. And I just love how everything that you see on screen is really... It's showing his inner demons in a way. Like, what I like about it, and this is maybe kind of a mild spoiler, like, it's something you kind of learn in the first half of the movie.
It's been 10 years, dude.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
I mean, come on, it's Inception. Everybody saw it.
You haven't seen Inception, you're weird.
Yeah, you're weird. You're so weird.
Get out of here.
Why
are you here? Get out.
The cool thing that I like about this movie is that there's no actual antagonist that is like a person in the movie. There's an actress who plays the antagonist character. Mal is the antagonist.
Marion Cotillard.
Yes. But
I think that's how you say her name.
The character Mal, the actual person who exists in this world, is dead. She's not the antagonist. She's dead. Mm-hmm. She's dead. The person that you see Marion Cotillard play is Leonardo DiCaprio's dream image of her. So the only antagonist is Leonardo DiCaprio's inner conflict. However, they very smartly have that be visually represented and, like, physically manifested as a person so that you can engage with it and be clear in the story and feel like there's an antagonist, there's a villain.
Yeah.
I just think that's pretty genius. I like it.
No, yeah. It's pretty great. For me, for a while, I hadn't seen the movie since I was a kid. It looks like I said earlier, Nolan, for a while, I was just like, I don't care. Upon rewatching his movies, and definitely, I didn't get around to seeing Inception recently, until obviously, thank God for the podcast. I was, okay, cool, an excuse to rewatch Inception. And yeah, I was surprised, and not surprised, but it clicked. I'm like, yeah, this is great. It makes sense why not just film students, but people in general just love the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even put it, I think, in my Letterboxd review. I don't think I did. But basically, I would have reacted to this the same way I reacted to Blade Runner 2049. I mean, like...
If you had seen it, like...
Yeah, like...
When it came out and you were older?
Yeah, like 15, 16, 17-year-olds totally freaked out when they saw this back in 2010, for sure.
Definitely.
And I'm sure made them want to become directors or something, or explore different ways of telling a story. I mean, this was pretty, like, out there for 10 years ago. Like, even today, it's like, oh wow, like, it still holds up, and it's been not that long. I mean, 10 years is a long time when you think about it, and the visual effects still.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a full decade.
Yeah.
Like, the movie industry has changed tremendously since this came out.
For sure.
When this came out, there had been, like 2 Marvel movies.
That's it. Yeah,
there had been Iron Man and Hulk.
Yeah. And,
Maybe Thor had come out.
Iron Man 2.
Oh, Iron Man 2, I think, had come out. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. Now there's 5 each year. But,
yeah. But this was a huge blockbuster. Like, this is a huge, crazy blockbuster. And it was so original. I feel like there's like almost none of those in the 2010s. Even in the 2000s, it's hard to think of.
Quentin Tarantino doesn't make blockbusters, but he still makes big
in
enough
our
movies that people see and talk about.
Like, after 2000, there have been so few huge blockbusters that are original concepts. And Inception is probably the biggest one.
Probably?
I mean, we've had great blockbusters. We've had Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, but those are based on books.
Something.
We've had Star Wars and Marvel, but those are based on comics and old movies. Like,
I'm trying to think, like, what other blockbuster movie that was
original? I honestly can't think of any. From the last 10 to 20 years.
That were successful.
That were, like, huge.
Because there had been
Avatar. Well, Avatar.
Okay, Avatar.
The fact that it was the highest grossing movie in the world and we still forgot about it shows how forgettable that movie is.
Exactly.
Yeah, Avatar is really the only thing that can...
It's just Dancing with Wolves with CG.
Yeah, I mean, it was the highest grossing movie in the world, and it was a quote-unquote original story, so, like, you gotta commend it for that, whether or not the movie's that good. But, I don't know, man. It's just, other than that, like, it's Inception. I can't think of many others.
True. That's crazy, because everything else is either based on a property or just or any movie that we love in general is just smaller. Mm-hmm. It's not like a huge blockbuster like this one.
Yeah. And that's what I love about Inception. It is like this big, over-the-top action blockbuster, but I watch it and it feels just as character-driven as, like, Memento. Mm-hmm. Which is a fantastic character study. And they actually have, like, a really similar theme, I think. Like, a really similar idea, which is basically... They're just about, you know, the lies we tell ourselves and how those can hurt other people around us. We talked a lot about it when it came to Tenet, so I might have spoiled our dinner here.
Yeah, a little bit. No, don't worry about it. No, but, I mean, yeah, again, upon rewatching it, it's pretty groundbreaking in how... I mean, let's go back to 2010. Back then, the only big thing was what? Like, Avatar, like we were saying, in terms of visual effects. And visual effects were, like, beginning to look, like, almost photorealistic and great. Yeah. Like, now we see a movie with visual effects and it's just kind of boring. Like, absolutely, you don't really go to a movie and say, oh, that movie had great visual effects. You rarely say
That's true. Like, we've gotten to the point where it's, like, leveled out and it's like, okay, I mean, that had visual effects and they were great, but I've seen them before.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, probably, what's the last time you saw a movie and thought those are, like, great new visual effects I've never seen before?
I'm not sure.
I mean, Endgame had a pretty cool...
Maybe the Planet of the Apes movies?
Battle. Oh yeah, the motion capture is really good in
The
there.
motion capture in that is amazing. Like the detail on Caesar's eyes were like,
Yeah.
and like the face and everything. Maybe that. I'm trying to. There was like, I remember there was one that I was like, oh wow, that looks real. But yeah, again, upon rewatching it, I was really able to appreciate it and love it as it is. Because again, it's one of those movies, like you said earlier, it's a modern classic. It's very well acted. The visuals are great. It's very well thought out. It's emotionally resonant. It's big, but it also feels intimate when it can. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's everything a movie, all the best parts of what a movie should be, you know. And I think I think what detracts me from like completely loving the movie is Christopher Nolan's dialogue. There's plenty of it in this. Not from everybody, of course. There are moments, and even certain characters, they're just completely flat and deadpan. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character.
Yeah, he has very little going on. He's very much like a support character to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. Tom Hardy though, I thought was
Tom Hardy's great. He's so fun in the movie.
He was cool. I forgot that he was actually kind of fun.
And Tom Hardy wasn't huge like he is now when this came out.
Exactly,
he was not that well known.
Yeah, so it was cool to go back and see.
Yeah.
I mean, even Nolan has worked with him several times, like
a lot, yeah.
Dunkirk and The Dark Knight Rises, and even Inception. But I think for me personally, it definitely takes a while to really care about that actual plot of that Cillian Murphy. Trying to, or like eventually gaining the inheritance of his father. And them going into his mind. It took me a little while to kind of actually care about that, but at some point, like as we learn more about the relationship he had with his dad, and all the visual metaphors in his head and just learning more things, and especially the payoff at the end, definitely set in stone the emotion, like the whole payoff of it.
Yeah.
And so I think upon a rewatch, because again, it felt like I was watching it for the first time since I hadn't seen this since I was like, 10?
Yeah, same. I rewatched it for the first time in a long time recently, and I knew I liked the movie. I remembered liking it as a kid, but I was like, I didn't know if I would like it the same or how it would be, and it blew me out of the water, man.
Nice.
I just watched Memento, and I was thinking, okay, maybe this is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. But, you know, it's been a long time since I've watched Inception. Let me give it another try. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is Memento, but also action. And it's just as good character study as Memento, but also it's perfect action movie.
I still haven't seen Memento. I need
very
to get
good.
to that.
I
It's on Prime, right? You said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's on my watch list for sure. But, yeah, I mean, again, what can we say that hasn't already been said? Great visuals, great score that works with the movie. It's just, I think it's definitely one that everyone can enjoy. I think it's his most accessible movie besides The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight trilogy in general. Because again, later on with Dunkirk, Tenet, that seems more towards visual filmmaking.
Yeah, and they're more like puzzles, kind of.
Puzzles and
Inception has
it's definitely
it's complex.
It's complex, but it's not confusing. It's not like
definitely not. No,
you know what I mean. Like it makes sense. It's complex. I was noticing that. Like me and my mom were watching it, and she was saying it's complex, but I get it. Like I understand what's happening.
I feel like it became a meme after this movie to go like, I didn't get Inception, or like you didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like that was like the confusing movie when it came out, and I watch it now and I'm like. Not really.
It's not that confusing. Yeah.
No. I mean, you just have to keep track of the layers. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's that hard because they're very visually distinct. Although, fun fact, I think it was in Japan. I think. Could have been somewhere else. But there was one country where, when they released it there, they always had, like, I think this is dumb, but they always had a number in, like, the corner of the screen to show what layer they were in so that you didn't have to keep track of it yourself.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so during every scene that they're in the dream sequence, in like the bottom corner, it would be like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3,
Just
layer
to not
2,
confuse
layer
people.
1, layer. Yeah, I was like, I mean, do people really need that?
I don't know. Sorry if I'm chewing.
What might be interesting about Inception is if you look at the way he structures the 3 layers, which happen at different speeds. Like he cuts between the 3 of them in the same like order in the same cycle consistently, but they happen over different amounts of in dream time. That's a concept that he would later use in Dunkirk very prominently.
Very true.
Except with real world physics rather than dream physics. So, yeah, I feel like Christopher Nolan is a director that is one of the easiest to, if you look at his filmography, you can see like his evolution and his like gradual change and like where he gets the ideas for later stuff in his earlier movies.
The stuff that he loves, the stuff that he goes back to. Even the way that he moves the camera too. Before it was very handheld and very almost gritty, whereas now it's very smooth and precise and almost Kubrick in a way. He's
that's a good point.
Evolving in many ways. Some even today he still uses like handheld, but sparingly.
But that's also a great reflection of how he went from very intimate character studies to more smooth, polished
visual
blockbusters.
Grander, yeah, for sure. I don't know. I don't have that much else to say about it. It's definitely it's not that I appreciate it more than I like it. I definitely love the movie. It's awesome. But I don't know. I think it's I'm not too sure. I think it's just because it is such a long movie and it does take a while for me at some points to get things going, that I'm not rushing to see it again.
There's a long chunk of the movie in the beginning that's exposition.
Yeah. Which is good, don't get me wrong, because we need to explain what we're working at here. But
for me it worked because I wanted to know the information that was necessary for Cobb to know, because I wanted Cobb to meet his kids again. Like, I felt very emotionally connected to his goal. But I also totally... Like, I don't disagree with you. Like, it's a very long chunk of exposition, and it can drag.
Yeah, I agree with... I think that what holds me back from rushing back... Not, again, I love the movie. It's awesome. But I agree that, for me, what I emotionally connected with most was Leo's character wanting to see his kids again, and basically wanting to move on from his wife, and all that great, amazing stuff. And what took a while for me was the stuff with Cillian Murphy, which was essentially the central plot of it. That definitely took a while for me to kind of, like I said before, really connect with. But at some point, it really pays off in a way I didn't expect. And it's like, oh, that was great.
Yeah,
like when
I know the scene you're talking about in the snow chamber when they go into the safe.
And he sees the what is it, like a wind, like a little
like the little like kid's toy,
and he begins to tear up. I'm like, this is great. Like you know what I mean? Like all he wanted was that from his father. Like he wanted some sort of admiration or something, and he got that, even if it was like the last thing his dad said. And but yeah, again, it's Inception. If you haven't seen this, you're
there's
weird.
Not much to say. It's Inception.
If you have seen this, you've seen this 5 times already. You know what I mean? Right. It's Inception. It's a classic. Right. It's great. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Not really. What's your rating?
For now, I would give it a 9 out of 10 for sure. I think upon watching it more and more, it could go up. I can see it definitely going up.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now, I'm sticking with a 9 out of 10.
I'm going to be a Nolan shill and give it a 10.
Nice.
I think this is probably my only 10 for Nolan. Maybe Memento. Memento's sitting right between 9 and 10 for me. I don't know. But I really do think... I'm not like a huge Nolan shill either. Like, I like him, but I don't love him as much as a lot of film students do. He's very much like a film school guy.
Oh yeah, there are annoying film students that
Yeah.
are insanely in love with Nolan, and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong,
But
he's great, and
I'll
he knows
shill
what
for
he's
Inception.
doing. What?
I'll shill for Inception happily. It's so good.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Then again, there's a shill for every director.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think. And some are more annoying than others, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Drop some names. Let's go. Let's call them out. I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. What? I don't. What would some be annoying?
There are.
For me, Nolan ones are annoying.
Yeah, they can.
They can be. I don't think Scorsese is annoying.
But I also
Maybe because I'm a
I don't think
Scorsese
Scorsese's
shill.
annoying. Nolan, like hardcore Nolan fans can be annoying, but like half the time they're right about the movies being good. So
Yeah, they're right. Sometimes, but sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, chill. The ones that annoy me that so much are the Zack Snyder shills. I don't get it.
Oh, those are
I don't get
the
it.
most like toxic by far.
Absolutely toxic. I don't get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love for Zack Snyder to make a good movie. But from what I've seen, he hasn't made a single good movie yet. I haven't seen Dawn of the Dead or Watchmen, which I hear are his best movies. But I'm not exactly rushing to see that. I can't think of a segue for the next movie.
Moving on, Sebastian, tell us about the Dunkirk movie.
Okay. So since I kind of like Nolan's movies the same, I didn't have a favorite to pick, but I decided to pick Dunkirk because at first I didn't really care for Dunkirk. Dunkirk came out in 2017, 18? 17.
17, yeah.
17. And it's basically a war film about the events that happened at Dunkirk. We see the perspective of men behind enemy lines, basically at the beach. We see the perspective of people in planes. And we see people in perspective on the seas and from the Navy. And I think there's one more.
The Air Force guy.
The
Tom
Air
Hardy.
Force. I already said that one.
Oh, my bad.
Mainly, yeah, Air Force. You're right, Air Force. And they're all kind of intertwined, different at different points in time, to basically kind of keep it interesting, rather than kind of telling it as it went along. And not one point do we ever go to men behind desks explaining what's happening.
Yeah.
There's never any point we go to the government and saying we need to fall back. We need to send in more men. Not one point does that happen.
It's just the battlefield.
Just the battlefield within the men, within the people in the air, in the boats, some people helping. And upon rewatching it, I love it. It's awesome. It's I like you said, you're very character driven. I am too. Like, don't get me wrong. For me, I don't know what I am. I think I just, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I also really appreciate and just adore visual storytelling, because this is a movie. You know what I mean? Like, we're here at the cinema to watch a story being told visually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're here just for the story, the actual text, go read a book. You know what I mean? Like, you're missing the point of what's trying to be told.
Right.
Here.
Well, because film is a culmination of text and visuals and sound and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but it's mainly supposed to work through the visuals, through the framing, and how you're supposed to interpret emotion or context through visuals. And here, this is definitely almost like a silent film, directed by Christopher Nolan in ways, because there's very little dialogue. There's no character, really. You follow certain people for sure, but there's no characterization. And it's thrilling. It's absolutely thrilling. For a second watch, I think I wasn't in the right mindset watching it the first time back in 2017. Again, back then I didn't care that much for Nolan. I'm like, there's no character, what's happening, I don't care what's happening at all. This point, I think in these past few years I've been able to really appreciate visual storytelling and the power of images and the power of just using sound and atmosphere to really put you in a moment. And this is what Dunkirk is. That's what the entire movie is, basically that. You're with the men as bombs are being dropped from the sky, as they're drowning, as there's gunfire, and I don't think you ever see the enemy.
You don't. You never see a single Nazi.
You never see a single of them. Like, and it's
but their presence is felt. Very felt.
For sure. Especially right in the opening
Very
scene.
well done.
With the I think the propaganda saying like, we surround you.
Yeah.
Remember that? I was like, that's scary. And then boom, just gunfire. Very loud gunfire. Almost startling. And
yeah,
you just
Dunkirk
basically
is so loud.
Oh yeah, it's insanely loud. And
like
you
he made it so that he wanted the sound mixing to make it feel like you were there, and so when a plane goes by, he made it insanely loud in the theater. And I thought, as much as I made fun of his sound mixing in Tenet, it works so well in Dunkirk.
Yeah, because the point of it is not to be character driven,
and because there's like no dialogue.
And that
whereas
too,
in Tenet,
meant to be
when things are too
exposition.
loud, you miss out on dialogue that's important.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And again, from the beginning, you should see men picked off one by one, and the one guy jumping over the fence. It's just, I think that's like little moments like that are enough for you to kind of lean on to someone, even if there is no dialogue or characterization. You just feel for them regardless, because it's a war and it's men sacrificing their lives and just the terror of it. You're able to really feel it because of the sound, the actual framing of the shots, the screaming, the score, the I think the entire movie, there's a ticking the entire time. Like a gradual
so much,
rising
like,
ticking. Just gradual, rising tension. And I think it's actually Christopher Nolan's pocket watch that they recorded.
That's cool.
For the actual ticking, which is great. And Kenneth Branagh's in the movie too, which I was like, right. I forgot.
He's like a Navy guy, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, he is. Some Nolan newbies, some Nolan oldies like Cillian Murphy, Tom Hardy, and Mark Rylance, who's great in the movie.
Right.
Classic actor man. I love Mark Rylance.
He's gonna be in Chicago 7.
He is. Yes. That's right. Yeah.
Excited about that.
I'll admit, for a while, I didn't like Mark Rylance because I wanted Sylvester Stallone to win the Academy Award for Creed and not him.
Oh yeah, he won it for
Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies, yeah.
Which I hadn't seen. I've seen a little bit of it, and it totally makes sense why he won. Classic actor man. But for a while, I was still like, damn it, it's supposed to be Sylvester Stallone, who I think gave a great performance in that movie. But
yeah,
we're here to talk about Dunkirk. Kolby, what do you have to say about Dunkirk?
Again, like, I think... Well, I had a similar experience to you. The first time I watched it in the theater, I didn't love it. I liked it. I thought it was solid, but... And I'm going to probably make myself sound like a stupid head here, but I didn't get the timeline stuff. I just didn't get it. Like, the way the movie is edited, if you haven't seen it, and I'm not going to be able to explain it, like, you're just going to have to watch it, is, there's 3 stories happening, and the way they're edited is that they're all happening at the same time. It cuts, like, story 1, story 2, story 3, story 1, story 2, story 3 throughout the whole movie. But they're actually happening one happens over a week, one happens over a day, one happens over an hour. Right? And so that means, like, there'll be times when, you're in story 2, and then they meet this guy who's, like, on a shipwreck, and then you're like, but last scene he was on the ship, and then 20 minutes later you're back to story 1, and then the ship wrecks.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you're like,
What?
it was confusing the first time I watched it, and this is gonna sound stupid, but a big part of it is because all the actors look the same. Like they're all young white guys with brown hair and brown eyes.
Brown hair, black hair. Yeah,
and none of them have names. So because of that, it was so hard for me to keep track of who's who, and that made me confused as to the timeline stuff. The second time I watched it in theaters, it made a lot more sense, and I appreciated it a lot more. I think the visual storytelling of it is genius. I think it is a master class in tension and suspense.
Yeah. It's very suspenseful.
The performances, despite intentionally like not having much to work with, are very good.
Great. They're great.
Tom Hardy's fantastic in it, and you don't even see his face.
No. I don't think he even says a word, does he? No, he's...
I'm not sure. I don't know. Even Harry Styles is in it. He's pretty solid.
Harry Styles is in the movie, and he's good.
Yeah, he's very good. I like when people joke that he had to give Christopher Nolan a resume, and all that was on it is iCarly.
I thought it was gonna be One Direction. No, iCarly. That's funny.
And now he's getting like a bunch of movie roles. Like he's like an actor now. He's gonna be in a movie with Florence Pugh. He's gonna be in another movie with Lily James. It's crazy.
Oh, my wife.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Dunkirk. I appreciated it a lot more the second time. I would still say it's relatively lower end of my Nolan ranking.
Really?
Because it's probably in the middle actually.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like it more than Tenet. And
Okay.
Maybe
No, I do
more
too.
than The Dark Knight. About the same as The Dark Knight.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't watched The Dark Knight in a while, but yeah, I like Dunkirk a lot. I think it's not only really entertaining, but like really kind of a visual feat. Like it's a real achievement. It's a real achievement of filmmaking, I think.
Yeah. I think Damien Chazelle said it when he said it's a big middle finger to those who say movies don't take risks. It's a huge risk-taking movie.
And I think didn't Tarantino say it was his favorite movie of the year and like one of his favorites of the decade?
I think it's one of his favorites of the decade, and I think his favorite war movie.
Oh wow!
Which is saying a lot, because there's a bunch of great war movies. I think he even said like everybody goes to Saving Private Ryan, right, for like the best war movie, which I still think it is. Okay. I haven't seen Paths of Glory or anything, which I hear is.
I was about to say Paths of Glory is probably my favorite, but Paths of Glory is also more of a legal drama than a war movie. Like part of it is a war movie, and then it turns into a legal drama.
Oh, I don't know that. Or Doctor Strangelove. I love Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove is great.
It's wonderful. No, but he was basically saying everybody remembers the opening of Saving Private Ryan. Everybody remembers the shots, the sound, the feeling of it, the terror, the suspense, and not much after that. With Dunkirk, you remember everything.
Right.
Like every shot of the entire movie. And I would agree to an extent, for sure. However, with Saving Private Ryan, obviously that's a more Spielbergian take on war. In a sense, it's definitely one of his more mature movies, like Schindler's List, which that does not feel like a Spielberg movie at all. But, in a good way. In a good way, for sure. But, yeah, everything about, like, Dunkirk, like, the last shot, the shots of the ship sinking, that probably one of my favorite shots ever is when you see the bombs, one by one, falling in the sand. You see.
I was about to say when he's got his head down in the sand.
He's had his head down.
That's
covered.
an ingenious shot. It's
insane.
So well made.
It's from far away. Boom, boom. They get closer, and so it's kind of like a couple feet away from him.
Yeah.
You see a guy basically
blow up, and then the sand lands on his head.
Just lands on his head.
That's an incredible shot.
If I am to say something that I wish could have been added, or like it could have been maybe better, if the movie was rated R.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, I think
why? For more blood?
Yeah, like not just for more blood, but I think just I don't know. I feel like a lot of the reason Saving Private Ryan stayed with us so much was because of how gory it was and just how terrifying it must have been to have been there. Whereas here, I don't think there's a single shot of blood.
There's not, but there's also like not a lot of actual battle. Like that's what makes this a crazy war movie is that you never see the bad guys. You never really. There's like a cut, like you said in the beginning. There's like shooting, but you never see like there's no real battle. It's just tension.
Yeah, but I was also thinking like, imagine if the man that exploded in that shot, you just kind of see him completely dismembered. I think that would have given like a big oomph, much more of an oomph to that shot. Personally, I don't know. That's just me.
Oh, but one thing about Dunkirk is that it might have my favorite movie trailer ever.
Where it's just the guys
on the boat
on the pier. Right?
Yeah, the first trailer that ever came out of it was the guys either on the pier or on a boat or something, but they're like on the shore. And I don't even know if I knew it was a Christopher Nolan movie at this point. It was the first time I ever saw a trailer for it in theaters. And you hear this very, like, slowly, gradually rising, like... And it's getting louder and louder.
Like, one by one,
and they all look up at, like, towards the camera, like, what is it? And then it sounds like it's about to hit, and then it says Dunkirk. And that's the whole trailer.
Yeah.
And never in my life have I seen a trailer that more made me go, I have to see that to find out what that was.
Yeah.
They didn't give anything away. That's genius. They showed you something that made you curious enough that you go, I need to know what that was. But they didn't tell you what the movie is or about. Genius.
Yeah. Nolan... Yeah. One thing about Nolan I love is his trailers. Especially that one. That's probably like the best trailer he's made from his movies. Great trailer. I love those trailers that... What's another one? La La Land, the early teaser trailers where it's just the songs and visual.
Yeah, that was another one where I was like, I do not know what this movie is, but I'm very curious and I want to see it.
Exactly, yeah. Instead of explaining the whole movie to you, like, I hate that. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the trailer and in the theater and just being like, holy crap. You know, I'm like...
I give that trailer 5 stars.
10 out of 10, boys.
More than I'm giving Dunkirk.
Yeah, I think that would probably be like my only flaw of it, besides obviously no characters, but that's benefited from... It's more of an experience movie rather than a narrative-driven movie.
Yeah, I don't think it having a huge lack of characterization is much of a detriment to the movie because it's kind of done very intentionally, it's the point of the movie. It's to show the anonymity of war, basically.
Yeah.
This doesn't really like affect the value of or the quality of this movie, but have you seen Darkest Hour?
No.
Okay.
The one with Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah, it came
out...
Isn't
my wife in it too?
Lily James?
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Oh my god, I'm gonna watch it now.
She's great at it. I love that I knew who you were talking about. It came out the same year as Dunkirk, and it's about Dunkirk. They happen to come out the same year. It's essentially the
boring aspects of Dunkirk.
Well, okay, so yes, it's about Dunkirk, but it's not about. You don't see the battle happening. It's from the perspective of Winston Churchill, who was the prime minister at the time, and him dealing politically with the Dunkirk plans. And the events of it coincide perfectly with the movie Dunkirk, and they happen to come out in the same year. They're just from different perspectives.
Okay.
When it came out, and even now, a lot of people say that it's very boring and that it was just just an old pretentious British movie, didn't need to be nominated. I disagree. I think it's a thrilling movie. I think it's really well done. I've never seen like a political drama that has the potential to be that boring actually be that exciting. I love it.
Okay.
You might disagree. A lot of people disagree, but I love it, and they're great movies separately, and they should exist separately, obviously. But I think it would be so fun if someone did like a 4-hour supercut and made them the same movie, where it just keeps cutting back from Darkest Hour to Dunkirk, and then this is not really a spoiler for Dunkirk, but kind of, or for Darkest Hour, actually for both, but not really. The last scene of both movies is the speech that Churchill gives. And so they could just cut those together perfectly. And it would be like these two stories even following for 4 hours come together. It would be great.
Crazy. Yeah.
I would love it. Cool. I would love that. Somebody make that.
Somebody out there, if you're good at editing and you have the time, send it to us, please.
Please do.
I won't watch it, but Colby will.
No, I will.
Are you kidding me? No, that sounds cool. I haven't seen Darkest Hour, but now that I know that my wife is in it, absolutely.
I highly recommend.
And Gary Oldman's in it, right? He's Churchill.
Gary Oldman's in it, and he gives the performance of his life, dude. People are like, "Oh, why'd he win the Oscar?" Shut up. Gary Oldman's fantastic in that movie. He's so good.
Oh, my nose. Hold on. Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Oh, anyway, he won the Oscar for it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gone around to seeing it. I'll check it out eventually for sure. But do we have anything else to say about Dunkirk?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, very well visually told. Really tense. Great framing, great sequences, great score and ticking. There's just so much tension from frame one. You're just on the edge, and at the end it's just a great satisfying experience, almost as if you went through it yourself. So yeah, I'd probably give it like a 9.
Yeah, I'd say I'd give it an 8.
8 or a 9 between those. I have to watch it again, but it's closer to a 9 for sure. It could even go up to a 10 someday, maybe. I don't know, but it's one of my more favorite Nolan movies from what I've seen, because it's using his strengths for sure of visual storytelling, and I really love that.
Yeah,
and there's just something about like the atmosphere of war and these men dressed up in these war outfits that I love. I don't know, there's something
very
about
immersive.
that very immersive about it. Yeah. Okay, so we finished our Nolan discussion.
Before we sign off, what have you been watching lately, Seb?
What have I been watching? Yesterday I was with my friends and I rewatched Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my gosh.
Which is a wonderful, wonderful movie that all of you should see. It's very dumb, very corny, bad acted, but very fun 80s horror comedy. It's called Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, what do you expect?
What are you expecting? I've been seeing a lot. I rewatched the Before movies recently.
Oh, I just rewatched Before Sunrise yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
I watched Cape Fear for the first time, the Martin Scorsese movie, which was great. It was full Hitchcock.
That's awesome. I gotta watch that.
It managed to be both campy in a way, yet still unsettling. Because, I don't know, for me, the things that scare me are cults, cannibals, and not feeling safe in your own home. Like, home invasion.
Oh, so real stuff. All right. So not monsters and crap.
I find
real
that
stuff.
Fun. Real stuff scares me
definitely.
more than, like, monsters, ghosts, all that stuff. To me, that's fun. Slashers, that's fun. Whereas, like, home invasion, cannibalism, and cults are terrifying. Because at that point, you just, one, you're not safe, and two, it's almost like all hope was lost. And to me, that's terrifying. That's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I even watched... Oh, and I finally watched my first Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie, Swing Time.
Oh, yes, you told me about this.
Very wonderful. Great dance sequences. Great chemistry between the two. I'm looking forward to the rest of their filmography. Yeah. What about you, Colby?
I'm gonna expose myself here as a hack, as a hack film nerd. I hadn't seen Citizen Kane until this month or last month.
Oh my god.
I know. I'd been putting it off, and I think the logic I had was like, well, I'll be required to watch it in film school at some point, so I'll just wait till then.
Oh,
but now that everything's online and stuff, I'm like, no, I'll just watch it now. And because I want to see it before Mank comes out.
Oh, true.
I liked it a lot. It's a fantastic movie. It's basically a masterpiece. Is it the number one greatest movie of all time? No, that's dumb. I don't know why people say that, or why AFI declared that so adamantly. It's a very extremely good movie. It's a historical, huge piece of film history. It's great. It's definitely not overrated, but I don't think it's the best movie ever made. Also, I watched Wind Rises, the Miyazaki movie, on the same day, and I think it's even better.
When the Wind Rises?
The Wind Rises. Have you seen it?
No.
I
haven't seen
insanely good. It's so good. And I actually, this is a weird comparison, but I think it's Miyazaki's The Irishman.
Oh.
So in the same way that Scorsese uses The Irishman to reflect on his own past work and kind of atone, I think Miyazaki's doing the same thing with The Wind Rises.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love The Irishman, so yeah, I'll have to check it out.
I recommend it.
No, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen Citizen Kane, but I do remember thinking it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's because it came out in the 30s, and it had these not complex, but it had these amazing characterization, this great story of a man essentially rising and then falling.
Yeah.
And the framing, the directing, the lighting, the camera work. When a lot of movies then, don't get me wrong, they were definitely, a lot of them, they were very narrative driven still, like City Lights, Sunrise, Nosferatu, or even Metropolis. Yeah. They were still, a lot of people today, they're not that much into silent films. And there were definitely still plenty of movies then that were speaking, but Citizen Kane was the one that I think still holds up even today.
Yeah, I mean, it came out in 1941.
41?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I get why up to that point it was considered the greatest movie of all time, because it was it was a huge revelation, and it's very much about the climate of the 1940s specifically. So I feel like calling it the greatest movie of all time by today's standards is weird. Because it's just kind of that question of do you give credit to the original or to the best? Because no other great movie we have now would exist without Citizen Kane.
It's not the best, but I definitely think it's the most important film.
Exactly.
Made.
It's historically important.
It's very important. It's definitely an essential watch for anyone that loves film. But
absolutely,
I would love to talk about that when Mank comes out. That would be
we should.
Cool. That would be really cool. Anything else, Kolby?
No, that's it for me.
That's it? Okay. That's all.
Oh, just kidding. I have one more thing.
Oh, crap. One more thing.
I'm once again going to expose myself on something that I'm so late on. I finally started Breaking Bad.
You're good. I barely started to. Don't worry about it.
Really? You're watching it too?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I feel like I finally get why everyone won't shut up about it for the last 12 years. It's fantastic. It's an amazing show. Yeah.
It's awesome. Wait, how many episodes are you in?
I'm on season 2, episode 9 or 10 or something like that.
I'm still on season 1. I need to catch up. Holy
season 1's very good.
It's amazing. It's so good. Bryan Cranston,
it is.
If you're listening to this, marry me, sir. You're so awesome. I love him. Okay. That is all for today, folks. Are we legally allowed to say that?
That's all, folks?
Yeah.
I think you added 4 today. I feel like that kind of separates us from Porky Pig.
Then we're good. Woo!
I said his name. Now we're getting sued. Tune in next week because we're finally going to be talking about Aaron freaking Sorkin. I'm so excited. Trial of the Chicago 7 comes out October 16th on Netflix. I made that sound like an advertisement. It's not. I'm just pumped. We're going to give our review of that, and then we're going to talk about Aaron Sorkin movies. Yes! I'm so pumped. I love him.
I like it. So if you've not seen some Aaron Sorkin films, I recommend you do.
Yeah, do your homework
you're able
before you
to
listen.
catch up on the Trial of the Chicago 7 when that comes out on Netflix on October 16th, 17th?
16th, I think.
16th?
Yeah.
for next episode, because we will be spoiling not the Chicago one.
We'll probably some other movies.
We'll probably spoil it. Too bad.
No, I don't think we'll spoil Chicago because it'll have just come out.
Yeah, but maybe for sure the other Sorkin films.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will let you know which ones those will be very soon. On Instagram.
Thank you for listening today and for sticking through us with all this crazy Nolan talk. I
know.
It was almost as long and complex as a Nolan movie.
Oh, got him. Nolan, if you're hearing this, please love us.
Nolan, if you're hearing this, sorry we criticized your movie. You're a lovely person. You were very cool to Seb when he met you.
Yes.
And also, you work in the film industry, so get me a job. Direct my scripts.
Please. Let me direct your script. Something. I don't know.
Man,
Mr. Nolan. We're
crazy.
talking to Nolan like he's listening.
He is, Seb, if you believe hard enough.
If you believe. So dumb. Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. That's all for
Bye, guys.
this episode. Goodbye.
That's all.
And we will see you
Goodbye,
next
guys.
week.